So for the first time in 60 years, there is one governing body in the unity movement. Now, I shared a few weeks ago that a split had happened in the 60s, and this past November, it was overwhelmingly voted by its members to merge back into one organization, reflecting, once again, a desire to live into our name, unity. Charles Fillmore, one of our co-founders, when he brought this movement into being in the late 1800s, decided on the name unity because the word expressed the core metaphysical thought, the insight that is at the heart of both his experience and then ultimately his teachings, which is oneness. That's the central core of unity. He saw this organization not as a new religion, rather organized around some core truth principles, what today we call the Unity 5 principles, which are about all that we all agree upon within this movement. There are 5 core principles, and then beyond that, you're free to go and walk your spiritual journey in the way that you're feeling guided to do. There's not a lot of rules, and there's not a lot of shoulds and shouldn'ts within the movement. Fillmore taught that there is one presence, one life, one mind, which we call God. And it is expressing, just as the song this morning reminded us, through all of creation. And because that is the core truth principle, it therefore means that humanity is not separate from God, but the very energy of God lives and moves and has its being in each of us in the one life. Unity points directly to the essential truth that God and humanity are not divided. That has been a core tenet that has been the opposite of that has been embraced by religion for thousands of years, that somehow there was this separation. And so that's one of the core differences within the way we understand God and our relationship to that God. Central to his teaching was the idea that Jesus demonstrated the unity of humanity and the divine, not as a unique exception, rather an example to what is possible to all of us. That's our second unity principle. We affirm that the Christ is the divine potential within every person. Even those people we don't like, even those people that we might label as evil, that divine potential, if it's in all creation, if it's in all humanity, must be within them too, simply waiting to be awakened. The name also expressed the Fillmore's desire to unify Christianity and this metaphysical understanding of it, to unify science and religion, to not see them opposed, but as one pointing to the same truth, to unify both prayer and practical living. It's the pray, and then you got to move your feet in order to be able to really fully experience this. It is the desire to unify inner spiritual realization with outer expression or outer demonstration. So rather than creating a new creed, the Fillmores envisioned a movement that would harmonize truth wherever it was found. They didn't believe that truth was only in one source, but that truth had been expressed throughout the eons of humanity in different ways. At a time when Christianity was often defined by doctrinal disputes, unity offered a different focus, one of wholeness instead of sin consciousness. This is one of the other. We teach that there is original blessing, not original sin. They sought to offer a focus on healing instead of condemnation, love instead of separation. The name itself is its own statement. Truth does not divide, it unites. I want you to hear this. So when you're wondering, what's the truth? Because there's a lot of people with a lot of different lenses going on in this world. What you can embrace is something that unites. If it divides, it's likely not truth. For those original founders and the founders today, unity is not just a theological idea. It's something, as I said a little bit earlier, to be lived. It is something that we have to practice in our daily lives, whether that's through prayer and meditation, which is our third principle, affirmations and the power of our thoughts and our feelings and directing those, which is our fourth principle. People are called to experience their unity with God, and then ultimately to express it, which is to live it, which is our fifth principle. So that's the totality of the theology of unity. And beyond that, how that looks, how that outpictures, how that shows up in your life is for each person to discern, to appropriate what really resonates with them and to let go of the things that don't. And that's true even with the things I say on Sunday mornings. You're free to go, I don't know if I really agree with that or want to embrace that. That's okay. I'm here to offer you things as food for thought, as things to try on and see what fits for you. In short, Charles Fillmore chose the name Unity because it named the spiritual realization that he believed could transform not just individuals, but ultimately this world. There is only one life, one love, one power, and we aren't separate from it. He would say, and he's quoted this, divine mind is the one and only reality. It all resides in that realm of divine mind. So a few months ago, I read the book, The Secret of Secrets by Dan Brown. Have any of you read it? Okay, I got one here. Well, for the rest of you, I apologize in advance if I share a little bit of the plot line before you decide you want to go and read it. But it was about this very topic of what I'm going to call here divine mind, but this book looks at it from a semi-fictional, scientific perspective. And there's some spiritual parts in there too. So the main theme of the book is non-local consciousness. It's a big word. Non-local consciousness. And what that means, so most scientists would say that consciousness, our ability, our awareness, what we might call mind, is produced by the brain through a series of chemicals and neurons and lots of things that happen to generate the thought and those thought processes. And that is contained in the brain, our identity, whether it's our thoughts, our feelings, our experiences, our memories, it's all contained in our brain, in the neural tissues of the body. So that when the body stops, so does everything else. Many scientists would also say that religious beliefs about life after death are simply something that we make up to ease our fear of death. Because if it's all located in the brain, when the brain stops functioning, so are we. We're gone. Except for maybe in the memories of other people, there is no more Linda. And the book introduces research and theories suggesting that consciousness may be non-local, not contained within our physical brains. In other words, not here in the tissues of this, that consciousness is received. It is accessed by the brain from what I'm going to call, for our purposes this morning, divine mind. You can call the realm of infinite possibilities, the quantum field, whatever name you want to give it. But there is a consciousness of life that's eternal, and we as individuals can pull down information from this realm. And we don't really see it this way because we got a lot of filters going on. And the filters, and we know this, I've talked about this before, that we only take in a very small percentage of the data that's coming in from the external world. We filter out the rest of what we deem not important. And the same can be true with what we're bringing in from, let's call, divine mind. That it's located out there rather than within here. And it also then stands to reason that if we can remove some of those filters, that we have greater and greater access to this divine mind, to all aspects of eternal life. The author suggests that this reframing immediately loosens our terror of death. Death becomes disconnection, not extinction. All that's happened is the place in which we were receiving our awareness through this physical body ceased to exist, but now we are part of the awareness of the spirit realm. The novel suggests that the fear of death is strongest when our identity is bound to our name, to all the things and the ways that we engage in life, when it's extremely attached to our memories, to our status, and to this fear that we want to have physical continuity. Our medical profession tells us this. We'll do anything to stay alive as long as we can, because that's what the human body wants to do, because it believes when it's dead, so is the rest of the identity. So non-local consciousness invites a more subtle identity, which is awareness itself. I am awareness itself. I'm not this body. I use this body. I engage with this body, but I am not the body, nor any of the other things that I tend to identify myself with in this human journey. And ultimately then to realize that awareness isn't in the body, and we're never confined by it. They say it helps to, this idea of non-local consciousness and this filtering system in which we engage with it is the explanation for things that have been unexplainable. Things like near-death experiences, things like out-of-body experiences, or premonitions, or precognition, and all. Those people just have filters that are more open than the average person does. A key theme in this book, what they're hoping that we begin to understand, is that fear of death drives destructive behavior. That if we look back at all of the things that we've ever done that we wish we wouldn't have done or said, or that we reacted to in the heat of the moment, all of that, if we follow the trail deep enough, it all leads back to a fear of death. All of the things that we see in our world, whether it's hoarding or domination or violence or fanaticism even, is all underlying it based on fear. And the worst fear is death. And when that fear of death eases. If we can really know whether you believe it's, I'm going to go to heaven or I'm going to exist beyond this body, then it eases those reactive parts of us, that it allows more compassion to increase. It allows longer-term thinking to emerge. It's not like I'm just here for a few more years and screw it, whatever happens, I'm gone. So I'm going to get, what I want out of it, and I'm not going to think about the impact in the long term. Once we realize that we're all part of this awareness, then we can begin to go, how do I want to contribute to the whole of awareness? They have identified that cooperation begins to replace desperation. So this belief in non-local, I see some of you, I'm going to get your brains going. And if this is interesting to you, I would encourage you to read the book, because it's about this thick. It goes into great detail. And it's, like I said, semi-fictional. A lot of these things we already know. They've already been proven in the scientific world, and some things we haven't yet been able to measure. So this belief in non-local consciousness is not just comforting, it can transform civilization. Can you imagine if we all understood this? And the fear of losing ourselves, of stepping away from this world were eased, it would totally change the way we looked at not only ourselves, but at our world. So this morning, we're going to take a few minutes and we're going to go into a time of meditation, and we're going to see if we can't open ourselves, recognize that we are awareness beyond our bodies, beyond the experiences and the things that surround us. We are indeed pure awareness. So as you find a place to get comfortable, you may want to close your eyes or soften your gaze just so that you can bring your attention inward. And I'm going to invite you into a practice I use that I learned from Dr. Joe Dispenza, but however it works for you, I just encourage you to set your intention to disengage from all of the stuff that you have used to identify yourself. And see if you can't know yourself simply as pure awareness, connected to divine mind. You might want to start by taking a deep breath and letting that breath go and allowing that breath to bring you into this present moment, into this place, right here and right now, where there's nothing else you need to do, nowhere else you need to be. And if any thoughts about activities that happened before this time and place, or anticipation of things that might be happening later today, just simply let them go for the next few moments. And imagine that you are in the center of a ball of energy. And typically that energy is focused outward on your body, on different relationships, on the work that is yours to do, on family, on friends. And see if you can't, in your mind's eye, begin to unplug from each one of those and allow that energy to move back to the center of your being. See if you can't disconnect from your awareness as a physical body. Disconnect from family and friends and your role that you play in those relationships for just a few moments. Disconnect from whatever may be going on in the work that you do, in your success, in your career. Disconnect from all the different ways in which you typically are engaged in outer life. And as that energy is freed from being projected outward and it is now accelerating, magnifying, growing within the center of your being. Ask the question, who is the one who's observing this happening within me right now? Who is the one beyond all those different ways in which I identify my life? It is the one who is part of the one. And in this open state, know that like a radio receiver, you can tune in to divine mind. And if there's a specific challenge or question or need, see that filter being opened from the realm of all possibilities and ask to be shown the truth of that situation, of that question or decision calling to be made. It might show up as a gut feeling. You might see an image or a word. You might hear a whispering of something. Or there may just be an inner knowing. So we're going to rest for a few moments. We're going to move into a little time of silence so that we can listen and receive. And as you slowly begin to bring your attention back to this time and to this space, aware once again of the body that is the vehicle in which you get to walk through this awareness. Aware of the sounds in the room, perhaps taking another deep breath, bringing yourself fully back into this moment. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. So here's kind of the summary of the book. You are not something fragile, temporarily alive in a hostile universe. You are a part of divine mind, temporarily expressed in form. We call that the Christ expression, because Jesus tried to explain this to people when he walked on earth. In John 15, 4-5, he says, just as a branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. So we're all interconnected. We are parts of that one branch of life, if you want to call it that. Jesus describes oneness as continuous connection, that life flows through us when we remain conscious of our unity within this source. It also affirms, and this is the way I like to think of it, what I do unto others, I do to myself. You know, he encouraged people to do unto others as they would like to have done to them. But the reality is, if we're all in this one branch, if I do something, it affects the whole because it affects the branch. In chapter 17, he says, I pray that they may be one, as you, Father, and I are one. As you are in me and I am in you, may they also know that you are in them. Jesus prays not that others will worship him or see him as the way, rather that they realize the same unity that he lives from. This is part of collective awakening. It's not hierarchy. It's not God, then Jesus, as the CEO, and then each of us as one, and then it flows down this way. It's saying we are all part of it, including that which we call God. So our invitation this week is to move into a fuller awareness of unity. And as a result, come together with our fellow humans to live this truth and to love one another. Well, it is our opportunity now to share of our financial good with this community. In a few moments, the ushers are going to invite you to come up row by row so we can be in that flow of giving. We can live it, we can walk it, of giving and receiving, and invite you to place whatever gift you're offering today in the large basket and then receive an affirmation to bless you this week. And we know many people give electronically, so even if you're not physically putting anything into the basket, you can put a little card in there that says I give online, or you can just simply hold your hand over the basket, add your abundant energy to that flow. We are grateful that we are living in a place where we are living in the land of enough, and I continue to celebrate that and give thanks for the many ways in which all of you share, not only the gifts that you give here, but your talents and your time to make this community as strong as it is. So let us take what we are going to offer today into our hands, into our hearts, and join it together and bless it. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Father, Mother God.
All right, so we're going to go ahead, we're going to stand up, we're going to join hands, and let's sing our peace song.
And so as we go into this day, into this week, knowing that there is only one power, one presence, We go, knowing our prayer for protection. We'll do it as call and response. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Together, wherever we are, God is, and all is well.